update schedule a little bit, and I posted about it, I think, yesterday. It was probably a little bad idea, but anyway, I'm gonna update you guys here, and then I'm gonna write the update in the announcements channel so that everybody, when they come back online, they can see what's going on. So I'm not sure if you've seen the current update. So some people have requested to have the swap panel in the trading separately as a swap page. And we did that, and I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So it works pretty well. So it basically is the same as previous Prism swap, but we improved some things that were in the Trello board. So let me paste the Trello board here so you can kind of take a look at some of the things that happened. So pretty much everything that was in progress and approved, we did, and now it's in the production tab. So the first thing is that we disabled the, I think Steve suggested it. Hey, Steve, by the way. Steve suggested to remove the scrolling on the input. So basically, when you were entering the amount, like a price or how much you were paying in the limit orders, and when you were scrolling down, it was changing the values on the input. So now those are fixed. So when you scroll, it doesn't change. Also, what we did is previously we were only loading the basically all token list, so unrestricted token list, which has all the tokens. So even for, like, let's say for bonk, when you were searching bonk previously, it was giving like 100 different bonk tokens, and you had no idea which one was the real one, unless you checked the address. But now what we did is we load both the verified token list and also
And
give me 1 second. Sorry, did you say something, Batman?
no, no, no. Carry on, go.
Okay. So apart from loading the verified token list, which is new, we also load the all token list at the same time, and we kind of merge them together to create it like a combined token list. Um, and the cool part about that is basically the way it works on Jupyter, for example, is you have to switch back and forth between strict token list and all token lists. And right now on Prism, the way it works is first it loads the verified token list. So you get the verified tokens, and the page loads really quickly. And in the background, it also loads all token list, which is a larger file. It has thousands of tokens. And then it merges them together into a single token list. Let me give you a screenshot here. And basically, the verified ones have a check mark, and the unverified ones have like a warning kind of exclamation point, exclamation mark. And the way it works is you don't have to really switch between the verified and unverified token lists. When you search for a token, so when you search for bonk, for example, uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, because Lisa Fish said that she can't hear me. Can you hear me or no?
I can hear you as well.
Okay, Lisa, can you hear me? Can the other guys? Okay, maybe let me check. If you right click on me and increase the volume, I think that might help. Um, try right clicking on my profile here on the stage, and then slide the volume and tell me if that fixes it. If not, maybe okay. So the way it works now is you don't have like a separate strict and all token lists. You basically search for a token, and then it it looks for both the old token list and it basically looks in the merged combined token list, and it prioritizes the verified ones. So you're going to see the official token first, and then if there is a token with the same name or a similar name, for example, it's going to be down there, and you'll be able to find it there. So I think that kind of improves the UX a little bit because you don't have to switch back and forth between strict and all token lists. Because on Jupyter, for example, when you switch on all token lists, for example, and then close the tab, and then you come back a few days later and you open it and try to search it, it stays on the all token lists, and then you have to switch back to strict if you want to trade like Sol or Bonk or something like that. So that's pretty cool. As you can see, the swap is really quick. So when you enter, let's say you want to buy 100 USDC worth of Sol, it kind of gives you the amount you're going to receive really quickly. And I'm keen to hear your guys' thoughts on what the UI looks like itself. I think it's much simpler than Jupyter's UI. I for one prefer this over Jupyter because there are some other optimizations as well, which makes the loading really quick. So you have the swap ready instantly when you open the website. And in terms of under the hood and how it works is basically right now it uses the Jupyter aggregation algorithm. And what we're thinking about doing is, since Prism aggregation algorithm itself is in some cases better than Jupyter, but the downside of Prism aggregation was that it takes a longer time to do the aggregation. So it was a bit slower than Jupyter. What we're going to do is basically when you enter an amount that you want to swap, let's say 100 USDC, it's going to load the Jupyter quote first because it's faster. And then in the background, it's going to aggregate using Prism. And if Prism gives the better pricing, then it's going to automatically update the amount that you're receiving. And basically, when you click swap, it's going to go to the best route that way. And the reason that is really good is because when you open Prism and you type the number, you don't instantly click swap, right? So it's like it takes a few seconds between you enter the amount and then you click swap and approve the transaction, right? So that should be enough time to do the Prism aggregation. And if the Prism aggregated route is better than Jupyter's, then it's going to automatically route to that. So basically for the user, in terms of user experience, the user doesn't see any difference in terms of what is happening. So they don't notice what's happening. But under the hood, it's routing between Jupyter and Prism and then giving you the best price. Because to give you a kind of a reminder of what the differences was between Jupyter and Prism aggregation algorithms itself. Jupyter's aggregation prioritizes speed over the aggregation process itself. So there are some trade-offs that they do between how good of a price they want to give their users and how fast that aggregation needs to happen. And the priority, it seems, is that the aggregation needs to be super fast, right? Because you enter an amount and it gives you the aggregated route in like less than a second. So that's pretty cool, but the downside of that is that it doesn't do a lot of more complex aggregation, which Prism did, which may end up in a better price because it kind of looks at a wider range of tokens that it aggregates to rather than Jupyter's algorithm. So I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see. And since the Prism aggregation will happen in the background, basically when you're fetching both quotes at the same time, it shouldn't affect the user experience in terms of speed. So it should only increase the quality of the product. Because, for example, I've seen a lot of cases personally when I was comparing between Prism aggregation and Jupyter aggregation, and in some cases Jupyter's aggregation has a better quote because it does um, more splitting and hopping between between different routes, but it also caches some liquidity pools. And because of that caching, sometimes it's not a real-time quote, and therefore it goes to a worse quote than if you were to check in real time what the quotes were, and if you were to aggregate in real time, you would get a better quote on somewhere else. So I personally seen this on Symmetry, for example, when since Symmetry has ability to provide its liquidity to dexes and it's integrated on Jupyter. I was checking the price of, let's say, selling or buying Sol, both using the Symmetry, what Symmetry was quoting directly using the SDK, and then what Jupyter was kind of saying as the best route. And in many cases, the Symmetry route was much better than Jupyter's best route. And that's a single liquidity source, right? So considering that, if we add multiple liquidity sources, we can kind of assume that there's a high likelihood that if we do the aggregation the way I described a few minutes ago, basically fetching the Jupyter quote instantly and then in the background fetching Prism aggregation route, and then updating the quote for the user if it's better, I think we're going to see some interesting results. So that's in terms of the aggregation and the swap product, basically. The next one is I think you guys have noticed the update of the trading side. So we polished a lot of UI and UX when it comes to the limit order trading. The way it works now is basically on the top right corner. Let me give you guys a screenshot so you see what I'm talking about if you don't have it opened. There you go. I pasted the screenshot in the chat. So on the top right corner, you can see the type of order you're placing. So there it says limit order, which is the one that is selected. We removed the swap plugin from here, and since we moved it to a separate page, it's now removed from the trading side. And you have the buy sell, which is basically we basically simplified the process a lot. So you have the type of order that you're placing. Basically below that you have the order book itself. I'm thinking about adding an option for the users to hide the order book. I'm not sure if they're gonna like that, because on Jupyter, for example, there was some discussion going on in the Prism chat a while ago about why people prefer trading on Jupyter, and the fact that when you're placing a limit order, it's not actually relevant how much liquidity there is for the market if you're placing a maker order, because it automatically gets filled when the price reaches that target anyway. So when we were kind of comparing what makes Jupyter's limit order different in terms of how appealing it is to users, one thing that came up is simplicity. So you don't actually see the order book. They have like a thing that is close to an order book, basically users' orders in a way that can be kind of put in the same UI as an order book. But when you go to the Jupyter's limit order, you don't actually see an order book, right? So you just go to the limit order page, you have the chart, and then you have the order box, basically, where you enter the price you want to buy or sell, and then the amount, right? So I think it's an interesting option that we can kind of explore, having an option to hide it, and then maybe it can be a default hidden as a default or not, depending on what feedback we get. But it may simplify the process and it may make it easier to use for people who don't have a lot of experience when it comes to trading with limit orders. So yeah, you have the limit order, then you have the buy and sell, and then we combined the inputs for the you pay and you receive tabs. So it's much more simple, and it also takes a lot less space than before. I don't have the previous design right here, but I'm gonna check and kind of give the comparison. One thing for sure is that previous design, the order component here, which includes the order book and the order information box, where you enter the information about the order, it didn't fit in the page on the screen. So on, for example, on a MacBook, when you opened the trading page, you had to scroll down to enter the place order button, which in the screenshot that I posted says, please connect wallet right now. So now it's all compact and fits on the screen. On very small screens, it might not fit perfectly, but for like 15-inch or 13-inch, 14-inch, it should fit perfectly, and user doesn't have to scroll or do anything like that. So that should be pretty good. And for the strategy orders, let me give you a screenshot here as well. So when you click on the limit order on the top right corner, you have basically like a drop down where you select the type of order you want to place. So here you have the limit order, the stack order, which is previously was a strategy. So it was basically two options previously, limit order or strategy order. Now that's called a stack order, because it makes more sense and it's easier to understand. You basically stack multiple orders, and it has a description as well. Some people suggested to add information about what each type of order does. So this should make it easier to understand. So basically, when you switch to the strategies, the stack order, it also fits in the same screen, so you don't have to scroll down either on this one. And 1 second, let me give you a screenshot for that. So on the stack order here, this is also very simple. So you enter the starting price and the total order size. You can see those inputs are also combined, which makes it look more appealing in my opinion. On top, you have the buy and sell, and then you enter the decrement and total orders, and then the equal or linear placement, which was called the placement strategy before. This makes way more sense because you can see the equal placement has 3 bars equally, and then the linear placement has a linear increasing. And then when you switch between those, you can also see the orders on the chart, basically an order preview. So make things more usable as well. And we have 3 more order types that is in the works right now. So you have Eat the Spread, King in the Castle, and Weak Hunter. And basically, Eat the Spread, I've already talked about it before. It basically heightens the spread on the order book. So this is a little bit advanced, but little more advanced than like normal limit order or stock order trading. But this is basically for specific scenarios. So for example, Eat the Spread means you basically are doing market making and front running the market makers by tightening the spread, because market makers basically what they do is they place buy orders and also the sell orders with a specific spread so that they make a predefined profit for every trade and when both of the order types get filled. And what you can do with the spread strategy is basically place orders in between those spread that the market maker has and that is in the market in the order book. So to give you an example here, if you open the stack order screenshot that I pasted and look at the order book, the highest bid is at 136.20 209, and the lowest ask price, so the lowest sell price, is 136.316, right? So if you use the Eat the Spread strategy, what it's going to do is it's going to place order, let's say at 136.21, and then the sell order at 136.315. So it's basically gonna place orders just a little bit above the highest bid and just a little bit below the highest bid. So you capture most of the spread that is available while front running the market makers. So that should be pretty cool. And later on, we're going to do some automations on those as well, so that you can automatically take orders and place orders without having to interact with it. Once you run the strategy, it basically runs until you stop it. So that's going to be pretty cool. Hey, Ubermensch, what's up? What's up, my guy? And then we have some other strategies that are coming, like King in the Castle and Wick Hunter. And for example, the Wick Hunter, what it does is it basically places an order, and basically in a way that kind of takes advantage of high wicks in the trading. So if you check out the token price chart or Sol, for example, or Bonk or Whiff or something like that, let me give you a chart really quickly. There's this guy who trades on OpenBook by hand, so he doesn't actually run any bot or any strategy or something like that. He places orders by hand and he's hunting for the wicks. Okay, so let me give you a screenshot of Whiff price chart, for example. So if you open the chart that I just pasted, you can see that about on 12th of April, there was like a big wick on Whiff. Someone sold Whiff for $5.5 when the price was actually $2.6, okay? So that's a pretty big wick. And what you can do with the wick hunter strategy is basically place the orders in that to basically capture those types of wicks that happen on the market. And later on, what we're going to do is basically you specify how much percent difference you want to capture in your wick, and your order follows the price and then places the orders in those percentages. So for example, let's say you enter 100%, okay? So for the sell order, okay? What it's gonna do is if Whiff's price is 2.7, $2.6, let's say, then it's gonna place the order at $5.2, and then once the Whiff price goes on and it changes, it's automatically gonna adjust that order to follow the same price difference, and then if the wick happens, you capture that profit basically. So it's this guy that is a market maker also that does this wick hunting strategies by hand. He also uses Prism, by the way, and he liked it a lot, so that's pretty cool. Basically, you'll be able to do the same thing, but automate it. So you just set it and forget it, and then when these kind of black swan scenarios, not really a black swan, but it actually happens quite a lot, you can kind of set this week strategy and then keep collecting the profits that way. Pretty cool. Let's see. Also, one thing that I wanted to update you guys on was the FTX token situation. So as you know, there was like 173 million Prism stuck on FTX exchange since it blew up that people had on it. And basically, we tried to buy it directly from the liquidators by placing a bid. And what we did is basically we placed the bid to buy all the tokens they had, and at a price that was basically the market value that was on basically the liquidity that was available on Prism. So basically, if you sold it, the amount that you would get plus 10%. So more than the market value, because we basically want to buy it, right? And the it's really kind of a complicated situation with the liquidators and stuff. They don't really talk to projects or tell them what's going on and stuff like that. So it's not really a transparent process. But we didn't get to win the bid because some trading firm or something like that bought a lot of tokens at the same time. So instead of kind of the liquidators, instead of selling the tokens separately, they sold it at a bulk to some trading firm that bid I don't know how much because it was a blind auction. So what I've noticed is that though that guy who bought the tokens, including Prism, started DCAing out. So they started selling everything they have using a DCA, and they started selling Prism too. Um, so I think that that's something that you guys should be aware of. The team is not going to be selling any tokens. The team tokens itself are locked, but we also as a team individually bought Prism tokens a lot in the past, but we're not going to be selling any of them. But it's kind of up to you to make a decision on what to do because in the meantime, what we're going to do is we through mutual contacts and kind of doing a lot of work to find this guy and reach out to this guy who bought the tokens. We got connected to them, and then now we're kind of negotiating with them to buy the tokens directly from him instead of him selling it on the market. And we're offering to buy it at a higher price than he's gonna get by selling and DCing out. So it looks like a kind of obvious thing to do, but I'm not sure what he's gonna do. So I'm just gonna kind of updating you guys in the meantime while we're kind of negotiating with them. So this guy, Batman pasted his address here. Let me check. Yeah, so the transaction that Batman pasted was FTX transferring the Prism tokens, I think a part of Prism tokens because I think they transferred 50 million more. So in total, there was about 175 million stuck on FTX. And this guy has right now, let me paste the address here. Is 7.5 million shadow tokens, which is about $6.7 million or something like that. I'm not sure how latest the Solscan price is, but in his transactions, you can see that he's DCing out. So what I've seen is that he is selling 2,500 shadow tokens per hour, some other tokens, pretty much everything he has. And for Prism, he's DCing out 10,000 Prism per hour, I think. Let me check.
Yeah, it's 10,000.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly how much he's DCing out because in the wallet he has 159 million Prism. I think he deposited 10 million Prism on DCA right now. Right now, not right now, but in total. Um, but just so you guys know, this guy is DCing out. But in the meantime, we are in contact with him, and we're negotiating to buy all the tokens back from him, and at a higher price than he's gonna get by DCing out. So hopefully that works out. I'm gonna keep you guys updated on that. But in the meantime, if you I don't know, you can make your own decision on what to do about that. Yeah, so apart from that, the swap and the trading, now what we're working on, to give you a quick idea, is polishing the DCA itself. Then what we're also working on in the background is I have two more products to talk about, but in the meantime, we're creating tutorials for each product. So basically, how to use with everything. So for example, on the swap, the one thing that I forgot to mention is when you try to buy or sell a specific token which is not in the verified list. So for example, let's say the Bitcoin puppets thing. Paste the screenshot here. So check out the screenshot. So this pups token, it's not in the verified list. And one cool feature of Prism is if the token is not in the verified list, so if it's not like an unknown or a new token or something like that, then at the bottom here, it shows you how much liquidity the token has in total. So for example, for this one, it gives you the pups liquidity TVL. It's 3.4 million. Okay. I think that's a pretty useful feature because when you're trading these unknown tokens, there might be some token that has like I don't know, $100 in liquidity. So it kind of quickly gives you an idea of how much liquidity there is. And apart from that, what we're gonna add a bunch of features to the swap page. By the way, for example, it's gonna show you the market cap information also, but on the top there's gonna be something like a scrolling bar or something like that, which gives you the trending tokens and ones with most volume and stuff like that. So when you open Prism, you basically have all the information you need, and you don't need to actually switch to other providers like Dex Screener or something like that to swap tokens if you want to discover new tokens or trade something that is trending or stuff like that. So that's gonna be pretty cool. So all this stuff, like for example, apart from that, you can also there are some features that you can't do on Jupiter. So for example, if you click on the settings where you adjust the slippage, you can also exclude specific liquidity providers from the aggregation. So the reason this is good is because if you're swapping frequently, there are sometimes some liquidity providers are buggy. For example, Meteora. When there is a lot of traffic and a lot of volume, Meteora transactions, for some reason that I've noticed, some reason fail a lot. Okay, and if you're swapping on Jupiter, you can't really turn off Meteora because it routes to it really a lot. I'm not sure why, but since it's their project, I assume that they want to kind of route to their project a lot, but you can't really turn it off, and your transactions are failing, and it's really frustrating, right? So here, what you can do is if you notice that a certain provider is not really working well, you can kind of turn it off, and then going forward, that provider is going to be excluded unless you turn it off. And apart from that, a really cool feature also is you can also you can also turn on direct routes. Okay. And when you turn it on, and when you enter in information to swap, it shows you that the direct route only is on. Now, this is a very, very important feature, which Jupiter doesn't have. So in some cases, you might want to switch to direct route only because when, for example, when transactions are failing and you need to sell or buy something quickly, you have a much higher likelihood to land a transaction on a single route than to do a multiple aggregation and hops and splits because one of the providers might have a slippage reached and then all the transaction fails. So that's cool, but usually what happens is once you turn the direct route only on, you forget about it, okay? And a few days later, when you come back and you want to swap something, you don't know if it's turned on unless you go to the settings on Jupiter, okay? Here, now the bad thing about that is on some things, it gives you a very bad route, okay? Because it needs to have a direct market for it. So for example, if you're trying to swap with into USDT, for example, which it doesn't have a lot of liquidity on with USDT market, you're gonna get a really high price impact, okay? So if you set it on Jupiter and if you set the direct route only mode on Jupiter and then you forgot about it and then you come back a few days later and try to sell with on you for USDT, you're gonna get wrecked. And then once you do the swap and you receive a low amount, you're gonna realize that you messed up, right? So this shows you all this information that you need basically to consider. So even if you exclude a few dexes, it shows you that dexes are excluded. Let me show you that as well. So I just excluded Meteora and Oasis dex here. And when I try to swap here, it shows me that excluded dexes are Meteora and Oasis. So these are some of the things that are kind of small, minor details, but they play a really important role because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who lost a lot of money by trading on direct route only mode that they forgot to turn off. So this is really cool. So basically, what I was saying originally was that we're gonna do tutorials on each one of the product, which is going to explain how to use them, what the cool features are, and etc. And then we're going to post each one on Twitter, and they're going to have like a cool intro. You guys want to see the intro? Let me grab it really quickly. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. So I just pasted a video. It's like an intro video, which basically it's not a finished one. We're still working on it, but you get the idea. It's basically like if you watch it, there's this prism that kind of shows up in the I don't know what to call it, but it's like a analog clock type of thing. And then each letter is a different product. So the first one here, you see that it ends up being swapped, and then after that, there's going to be the tutorial of the swap. And then for the second one, it's going to start the same way for the limit order one, and then it's going to do the swap icon on the first one, and the second letter is going to change to trading one, etc. So you get the idea. Um, and apart from that, we're working on some kind of a catchy uh, video ad type of things. Okay, so this is partly because some of the feedbacks that we received from Lisa, for example. So thanks for that. Um, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working to first we're going to identify what we want people to associate Prism brand to. So what type of emotions, what kind of feelings and stuff like that, and then create some sort of videos that evoke those type of emotions. Okay, so when people watch it, it's going to be a really cool video. So, for example, um, as an example, you can look at the ads that Coinbase does. They are really, really cool. So they might not be directly related to like trading, but it's kind of the brand association that they create about Coinbase. Okay, and I'm kind of doing a lot of research into um, creating marketing strategies that can be done. And apart from that, how people really associate brands and what they associated brands to, and what other companies have done to create that brand image really cool way, you know? So, for example, some of the underdog protocols that were the underdog, what they did to capture a lot of audience, even though they didn't have a lot of budget or a lot of users. They what they did is basically they did something really creative. Um, and so yeah, there's a lot of ideas on that and what we can do. So um, I'm kind of finalizing that and kind of creating like a structure so that I can present it to you guys as well to hear your thoughts and then give you like a not just like an idea, but some kind of a sketch or something to give you a better idea of what it's gonna look like or what direction we should take. So that's pretty cool. Um, and yeah, the other things are the and panic functions. So if you go to Prism Twitter right now, you can see that it has a new cover. So there are all the products that Prism have. If you check the Twitter cover of Prism page, let me give you a link here. So the last two are the new products, and I think I'm not gonna talk too much about it yet. Um, but for sure, I know that those two are really cool things that I don't think any platform has, and it's really useful. So the first one, which has an ape as an icon, you probably guessed what it is. Same for the panic one, but there are some details that are really, really kind of cool that you might not instantly get the idea of what it does. So it's still under development. So I think I'll be able to present the panic one first. Um, Maybe we'll have something to show you guys next week. Um, and yeah, I think that's that's all I'm gonna say for those uh, at the moment. But another thing that I was thinking about is I think what we should do is we should schedule social media posts and then kind of coordinate sharing within the community so that when it's posted, it gets shared a lot and we kind of hack the Twitter algorithm. Okay. And what I've seen and the kind of the basic idea that you're probably thinking about is posting, basically scheduling, let's say, telling the community that there's going to be a post, like a video tutorial about Prism Swap going out tomorrow at, let's say, um, 15 o'clock UTC. And then once it's live, everybody shares at the same time. I kind of post the link to the post, and then everybody goes to Twitter with that link and then shares it, right? But these Twitter algorithms, which basically look at how engaging the post is, and then because of that, they suggest it to a lot of people. Most likely, what they do, the same goes for the Zeely and the other campaigns where you have to specify the post and people go on the post and have to retweet and stuff like that, right? The social media algorithms probably catch that they know the source that you're coming to. So, for example, if you open the link directly on the browser, they know that you've been redirected from somewhere. Okay. So, if you open the link and then share it, retweet it, it's not going to get the same amount of boost as organic engagement, right? And so how does the organic engagement work? Someone goes on Twitter on their feed, and then the post shows up in their tweet, and then they click on it, and then they share it or like it and stuff like that. So that has a much bigger boost because Twitter tries to fight the bots and stuff like that. So that type of engagement works best, okay, and has the most boost. Um, what we can do is we can schedule the posts so everybody knows that at 3 o'clock, for example, the post goes live, and then there's like 50 people ready to share it. But when the post goes live, we don't actually post the link, but everybody has to go to Twitter and find the post in their feed, which is probably going to show up when they go after the post is posted, if they scroll down a little bit, and then click on it and then share it instead of just sharing it with a link. I think that's going to have a much bigger impact, so we can kind of experiment with that and see if we hack away the Twitter algorithm and if the engagement is much bigger than what we've been getting. So I think that's a pretty cool experiment to try. Um, what do you guys think?
Yeah, let's test it.
And it also is a better way to try to get as many people introduced to Prism, because right now the way it works is nobody knows when the post is going to go live. So as people come online on Prism Discord, they find out in the announcement channel, and then they go here, go to the link, and then they might share it, right? So this way, it's much more coordinated, and there's a lot of initial engagement that every post is going to get, which is going to amplify the message even more and kind of show it up to a lot of people and get it to a lot of people's notifications as like a trending post. So I think that, and also it's going to increase the overall engagement too, because everybody's going to know when the posts are going on. Yeah, that sounds good as well. But basically, what we want to do is we want to replicate organic. I mean, it's still organic, like we all want to share it, but we want to make sure that it doesn't seem like someone redirected people to share it, which is like a bot-like behavior for Twitter algorithm, right? So we want to replicate organic behavior as much as possible to get the maximum amount of engagement boost and reach. So we can try that as well. Um, I think that's it for the. This wasn't really a quick update since I've been talking for close to an hour now. Uh, so thanks guys for listening. But yeah, since we missed the past few weeks of quick updates, this was kind of a good way to update everybody on what's going on the product development side, the marketing, and on the FTX token sides as well. So yeah, thanks guys. I'll be recording the tutorial videos in the next few days. I have a portion of the swap tutorial already done. I'll be doing the rest. In the meantime, if you kind of, I think, if you guys want to help, um, if you use Jupiter, try using Prism for the next week exclusively. So only use Prism for your swaps. Since it uses Jupyter aggregation algorithm right now, the results are going to be same in terms of aggregation. So you're not going to get any more slippage or any different prices. You're going to get the same price that you would get on Jupyter, but the UI is different. So if you want to help, you can use Prism exclusively for the next week, and write your feedback on what are some of the things you like, what are some of the things you don't like, even if you don't really get a specific thing that you like or not, even if you write that you don't like it or you like it, I mean, if you prefer it or not prefer it over Jupyter, that also helps because even if it's not something specific, it kind of gives us general feedback that we can take and iterate on the product to make it better. So yeah, I think that's it. And let me check 1 second. Uh, yeah, also, one more thing is Prism. I mean, Steve is graduating from from Symmetry and Prism. So he's been with us for over 3 years now, and thanks for that. And he's working on a lot of really cool things, and is working with Triton, which is a really cool RPC company that we use personally. And he's doing a really amazing things. And he didn't have a lot of time left to um, uh, focus on the community management side, and he's got a lot of really cool stuff that he's busy with. So he's gonna be he's gonna be graduating with us and moving to Triton. He's still gonna be hanging out with us on the chats and stuff like that. But let's congratulate Steve on on the graduation, and yeah, wish him the best.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Um, yeah, okay. So I think that's pretty much it for this week's update. I'm really looking forward to the feedback that you guys have for the swap. Um, if you use the trading one as well, let me know as well if you have any feedback. But this week on the product side, let's focus the community on the on the swap, and I'm looking forward to your feedback on how it is, if it's good, if you like it, if you prefer it over Jupiter, if you don't prefer it, and let's take it from there. So thanks for listening, and see you in the chats, in the channels, and yeah, see you in terms of stage. See you next Monday.
Later, guys.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.
Cheers.